everybody, it's Chuck. Welcome back to the Bee Lab. I know it's been a long time, and I just want to say thank you to all of you that were concerned that I wasn't posting videos and sent me emails. They went to my website and you found a contact form and you sent me a note saying, "You okay? We're praying for you." Thank you to all of you for the concern. I have to be honest, took some vacation, a couple weeks up in the Northeast to try to stay a little cool. I had a lot of work going on, and then every time I came home, it's just so blazing hot out here, and my bees are kind of doing fine, and they're in a phase that we're gonna get to talk about this fall. Now, it's early August still, so we're not out of the heat yet. You can probably already see I'm just starting this video and I'm already sweating out here. But what I wanna talk to you about today is what I've kind of been hinting at about my small hive beetle treatments and what I've been working on with the state. As many of you know, I'm in the Master Beekeeper program here in the University of Florida. I've already achieved my Master certification, but I'm going for the last level, which is Master Craftsman. And the Master Craftsman level requires an apiary experiment that is a little bit more than just your average experiment. I would even say this is graduate level kind of work as far as the experiment, the documentation, the approval process. Dr. Jamie Ellis has even reviewed some of my work. Dr. Cameron Jack has reviewed some of my work in order to get the processes and procedures right to do this apiary experiment. And I've now been approved to proceed with my experiment here in August. And what I have come up with is using chlorantraniliprole as an additive to a pollen-based bait inside of small hive beetle traps to kill beetles dead. Not drown them in oil, not capture them in a trap, but to have them go in and eat a bait that kills them and in the hive. And that may shock some of you initially, going, whoa, we're putting chemicals in our hive. Do your research. Dr. Bartlett up in the University of Georgia is doing some work on chlorantraniliprole inside of pollen patties. This is another use case of this because chlorantraniliprole has some good paper documentation that it is deadly to beetles and larvae and grubs, but not to honeybees. And the LD50, the lethal dose at 50%, is very high for honeybees as opposed to beetles. So that's what we're doing, is we're targeting the effective chemical, chlorantraniliprole, inside of a bait that theoretically the bees should never be able to touch, but even if they did, it is not harmful to the bees, and use that inside the hive as a small hive beetle bait. Many of you have heard about using GrubX, or I've even talked about using aceleprin on the ground. We're gonna take that to the next level now that we have some documentation and research. Now, I just wanna say up front, I've done my research, I've done my work, I've talked to the EPA, I've got approval from the state, I've got approval from the University of Florida, and they are participants in this experiment with me. So I am above board on everything we're doing here, and I'll write up my paper and submit it to the University of Florida at the completion of this part of the process. But to bring you along with me, and also to use video documentation as part of my process for submitting this, we need to make the bait. Now, I've been working with this for a while now, so this isn't my first experiment. I have had success with this. This isn't are we gonna have success? I'm now measuring through experimentation and control processes the actual success rate. So I know this works already. But what we're gonna go ahead and do for the purposes of documentation and dosage, make our small hive beetle bait. Now, the active ingredient I am using for my chlorantraniliprole, and I've talked to you guys about this before, I'm buying the product aceleprin. Aceleprin is available on Amazon. There are many different concentrations, but the important thing to recognize is that this is 18.4% pure chlorantraniliprole with other active ingredients. So there's a lot of math involved that I did with some graduate students at the University of Florida to get the dosage right at the 100 micrograms per gram of chlorantraniliprole to the bees. I'm starting to roll that. I might just start saying chloran. So anyway, I've got the dosage down to where the amount I'm making by weight gets the right dosage right at the LD50 of the beetles. Now, I think that this can go higher, but I don't have paper documentation and research to verify that, and I don't have the equipment perhaps to do those sort of lethality tests yet, but we know that is a safe dose. So I've got my procedures and my processes here, and essentially I'm just mixing up sugar water 1:1 to act as a liquid agent. I'm using Ultra B as a pollen substitute. If you have real pollen, that would actually even be better. And I'm using glycerin. Now glycerin, I use a lot with my OA strips. It is a surfactant that keeps things moist. Early on in my testing, I found without glycerin, just using something like sugar water, after a few days, it desiccates and turns into a cake that no longer is like a soft, liquidy bait that the beetles can go in. But when you add the right dosage of glycerin, it stays like a liquid for weeks, months, actually. And I can attest to the glycerin being an important part of this. Otherwise, the water will just evaporate out of this and everything else, but this does not evaporate. So because we're doing everything by weight, I just want to kind of start here and kind of show you where we're going. To get this going, I'm going to go ahead and follow my recipes here. I've done this work. I don't mind saying it now that I'm above board, but essentially I'm making one batch. And 1-to-1 sugar water, I need 437 grams, and I'm doing this by weight, of a 1-to-1 sugar water, which is what I've got here. So I'm just going to use my blender here as my tare measurement. And as soon as that zeroes out, hopefully my battery doesn't die. Looks like cut. We're gonna have to take a battery check. Okay, we're back. I'm just gonna go ahead and tare out my my blender here and add my sugar water. I need 438 grams, and get my unit to grams, not ounces, because we're doing this by weight. And I overdid it. There's 464. Thanks for being patient with me. 38. There we go. Perfect. Now I'm going to do my glycerin next because I want all my liquid in here first, and I need 350 grams of glycerin. So I'm going to go ahead and tare this out again. I have to get this right because I won't be able to pour this out. So 350 grams of glycerin. All right, 350 grams of glycerin. So we got all of our liquid in there now. Now we need to get our Ultra Bee in here, and to get this total, we're adding 300 grams of a dry Ultra Bee. And the reason we're doing this by weight is to get our aceleprin weight, down to the exact right amount. So this should go in fairly straightforward, and I'll just put the top on to blend it to get this mixed up homogeneously. Hopefully this will not make an enormous mess, and we'll just go from there. Okay, so now we have got a lovely small hive beetle bait. Sugar, pollen, protein, a little bit of glycerin just to kind of keep the consistency right. So this is the basis of our bait, but of course it does not have any of the chlorantraniliprole in it yet. So, and the dosage of chlorantraniliprole of aceleprin, now if you were to make this on your own, I'm not recommending you do because you hadn't gotten permission from the state, you would need to look at your weights. But because this is 18.4%, I need 0.5, actually to be exact, just so I get my numbers right for the state, I need 0.544 milliliters. And to do that, I'm using a pipette, which I did bring out here somewhere, or I hope. Let me go get my pipette. So I just need to get 0.5 there it is. 0.544 of aceleprin, which has the active ingredient chlorantraniliprole. And that's all it takes. This stuff is not good for beetles. You know, this chemical wasn't invented for bees. It was invented for golf courses and managing grubs. And the beetle, and of course its larval stage, is in the grub stage. So I think that's obviously why it works. We're gonna go ahead and liquefy this. All right, we have a nice, good, consistent solution there. And that's our bait. That's all it takes. Just a little bit of aceleprin inside of a bait. Now I'm gonna go ahead and label this bottle because this is what we're putting it in and storing the bait. And I'm gonna go ahead and label it correctly. This is SHB bait. Sometimes I call this Beetlejuice. And I'm gonna go ahead and seal this tightly, and I'm just gonna write on here the dosage. 100 micrograms per gram, which is the correct, oh, and the date. Today is August 8th. So now that I've got this properly labeled, I can go ahead and put this in here, and this will be how I distribute this bait into the traps. With this glycerin, it will stay pretty good in this bottle for a while. I got a little bit left over there. I could store it in another container or dispose of it properly. But my point is, and the way I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show you in the hive a little bit later, because we're going to put some traps in the hives. I have 3 different tests. I'm putting bait in one, I'm putting mineral oil, which is a more traditional trapping agent to drown the beetles, and I'm putting an empty trap as a control inside of each hive. I'm going to do a minimum of 10 hives. We may go a little bit higher than that. But what I've done is I've taken these square traps and I've cut them in half. And I really kind of like this, and I even sometimes use these in my mini mating nukes or my nukes because it just allows a smaller trap. And I'm going to put the bait just to kind of cover the bottom, close the lid, and I'm going to set it in there. And I've got some randomization for the front left, the front back, and the front right, where the chlorantraniliprole and the mineral oil and the empty trap will go into randomized location to take out any sort of human bias of location. So that's it. So we've got our bait made, we've got it labeled, and we've got our mineral oil. Oh, and to dispense the mineral oil, just kind of show you, because, you know, this can kind of be messy. I'm going to use one of these dispensing bottles to fill up the mineral oil traps. I'll just go ahead and prepare this now, so when you see me use this out in the field, you'll understand what I'm doing here. And this will allow me to just kind of squeeze the mineral oil into the mineral oil traps and likewise. So that's what my secret's been. I've got some small hive beetle tests to do. It's going to run for a month, so I won't get results until September, and I'll be submitting it to the state then. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So stick with me. We'll go put some traps in the hives, and we'll see if this works like I think it will. All right, everybody, we're out in the apiary now. So this is how we're going to be setting this up. I've got my hives here. These are my production hives, and I've got them numbered underneath, 1 through, I don't know, it goes all the way down there at the end. I've got all my traps. We talked about this a little bit earlier. We're going to go 3 traps inside of each hive. I got my recording sheet because basically on here I've got my randomization. So position A is front left, position B is back left, and position C is back right. And I've got, you know, 1, 2, and 3, 2, 1, 3, and everything like that set up. So 1 is chlorantraniliprole, 2 is mineral oil, and 3 is the empty trap. Just that's my own logic and how I'm going to record it. I'm going to record the hive health and some different things. I'm going to make sure there's no other beetle traps or anything in here. These are my mite hunters, don't forget. So but just about everything is done being requeened. Everything is queen right. I'm going to score the colony on its colony strength, just basically on the number of bees. We are about 2 weeks away from doing some Harbo assays on these bees too, but that's for another video. And I've got my bait and my mineral oil here. And yeah, so I'm just going to walk you through this. I'm going to hood up. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I can. Maybe talk a little bit on the first couple, but then get all my traps in for the experiment. All right, I'm going to talk you through the first one so it's just not quiet here. Yep, strong. Looks like I remarked this one the other day because I found her when she wasn't marked. So I'd say nice good colony health, boiling bees. I'm just going to quickly pop the bottom to make sure there's no trap in the bottom. Let me keep them happy. Oh yeah, and the microphone. You guys don't like that, do you? Buzzing bees on your microphone. All right, so here is a beetle trap I'm going to remove just so I don't have multiples in here. And I'm going to put it in the top. All right, so position A is chlorantraniliprole. Just going to cover up the bottom. This is not a super duper precise measurement. Consistency is important though. Just like that. Position B is mineral oil number 2. I think my very first one was just in the logical order, and then it's going to start randomizing from here. Now mineral oil has that, if you spill it, it'll kill the bees, which is another one of the things in my research I'm kind of documenting, is that I don't like using mineral oil because it is messy And if you do spill it, it kills the bees. If you spill this stuff, it doesn't kill the bees. All right, and number 3 position is just an empty trap. This is the control. This is just how we're making sure that beetles just don't randomly come and just jump inside of traps, right? That's kind of what we're doing there. All right, that's it. Hive number 1 is done. Put the cover on and take a few notes. All right. This is the home out yard. This is a double. This is strong. Queen right, yes. Visible beetles, no, I didn't see any. And then we've got everything in there. All right, let's go to the next one. Strong, healthy double deep. Let's check for another trap. No, but boy, very strong. All right, what's in position 1? Position 1 is mineral oil. 2. Chlorantraniliprole in the back left. Randomization. And it looks like an empty trap is in the back, same as the other one. Strong. Queen right, yes. Varroa, I'm sorry, visible beetles, no. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of whip through the rest of these, not talk through it as much unless I see something interesting, but I'll probably speed this up towards the end and maybe we'll chat the rest as I'm finishing up. ladies and gents, if you're still with me, I've got 12 experimental units, the hives, with 3 traps in each one, randomized to the location in the hive to take away any human bias. I got 2 of them in the long lang. The rest of them were in my double deeps, or I had one that was a single deep, but I've annotated that. Took out any existing bait traps, and we're gonna let this sit for like a month. You know, here we are in the fall, August of the Florida summer, so this is small hive beetle country time. So while my beetle counts are low because of my existing treatments, I think we'll get a good count and we'll see whether this works. So anyway, hope you appreciated that. Sorry I still got my hood on, the bees are buzzing. I kind of went through there kind of quick. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Sorry it took so long to get this video out. And we got some Harbo assays coming up in the next few weeks too. Stick with me, guys. We'll see you next time.